Welcome. I'm Alice Alicia Jones, and this is another one of my Living Consciously videos. I was absent last week. I apologize for that. My family was in town to help celebrate a monumental birthday for my husband. And as a result, I absolutely, the YouTube video um, time just went out of my consciousness. And as a result, a couple days went by before I realized that, oh my God, I hadn't shown up when I was supposed to. Today's topic is one that is very dear to my heart. It's about clairvoyance, clear seeing. All the clairs, however many there are, it's about 8 or 9 or 10 of them, um, are French words, and they all have to do with the senses. And this has to do with the sense of sight. But this is seeing behind the veil, seeing things that are not there, seeing things that others may have not seen, but yet you know you have seen them. And there's no way that anybody can convince you otherwise. So just hold on to your own truth. If any of these experiences have happened to you where people have said to you, that's impossible, it is not possible for you to have seen it. That must have been a dream. It must have been your imagination, a flight of fancy, however they want to explain it away. Just know that yes, you could have experienced it exactly the way you thought you were experiencing it. So I'm just going to relate some of the things that happened to me over the years. I also have a story about my sister. I also have a story about a dear friend of ours, and my mother and my mother in law. So I'm going to start with my mother. I haven't told this story before, but two things happened to her prior to her passing. She passed very early. She passed at the age of 59, and coincidentally, she passed 11 days before my baby was born. So it was a very heartbreaking time for me. My baby was born on Cinco de Mayo, and the date of her death was April 24th. My Cinco de Mayo is May 5th. That's and the irony is we just celebrated my grandson's birthday. He not only had the joy of being born on Father's Day, his birthday became Juneteenth, a federal holiday. So we think he's so clever to have accomplished that. Anyway, what my mother experienced, there were two things that she had mentioned prior to her death. Well, actually, three. She said, first of all, that in one of her dreams, maybe 5 years before her death, but she wasn't sure whether it was a dream or a vision. And I probably will credit this with a vision rather than a dream. She saw the whole sky light up and the Blessed Mother appeared. And under the Blessed Mother was a banner, but it was written in Russian and she couldn't read it. But she had the sense that it was predicting something to do with Russia. And she died in 1981. And I believe it was in the late 80s, I think it was 89, where Gorbachev tore down the wall. So it had, I felt she got a premonition of that. But internally, when she saw the vision, what she felt was that this was a premonition of her death. So she she felt that her death was imminent because of that. But there was also something else that had happened. One Easter, my brother brought her a beautiful pot of lilies, the kind that you see adorning all the churches, but not freshly cut really, lilies, a fresh pot of them, planted lilies. Every single lily died the next day. So again, she felt from that experience that she would die around Easter time. She had always had a very strong sense of spiritual um, linking to the divine. And so she didn't look for these omens, but when they appeared, she interpreted them. And in both cases, she was right because she died April 24th. And occasionally, not often, but occasionally, April 24th is Easter. It can be Easter Sunday. My mother in law had an experience when her two oldest boys were either 3 and 6 or 4 and 7. I can't remember which, but I lean towards 4 and 7, where they were in Denville, New Jersey at the time, and the Rockaway River was behind their land. So the boys, this is midwinter, the boys being who they are, and again, you're talking about this is the 40s, the early 40s. People did not restrict their children, did not arrange for play groups, did not uh, hover over them the way that we have helicopter parents now. So she just let her boys go out to play. She heard them crying, and she instinctively, her mother's sense told her they're in trouble and that she had to rush out to see them. Um, so anyway, she did. She found them a block and a half away, where in that block and a half, there's no way in the world she could have heard those children physically crying, but her inner sense told her that, and of course, this is clairaudience, but her inner sense told her, your boys are in trouble. And because she saw them also in her mind's eye, she saw them crying. So she rushed out. One of them, and I think it was the youngest, was standing on the ice, and the ice was cracking underneath him. So the older one did not know what to do. I think he had a branch. He had put a branch out to his brother and told the brother to hold on to the branch, and then he would just slowly, guide him in. But the mother, of course, brought a bigger branch because the older son and the mother stayed on solid ice, where the little one had ventured into ice that was cracking. So that was an experience she had. An experience. Well, this has to do with Claire audience. So I'm going to save that story for Claire audience. My own experiences were that I had the first time that I took my daughter and a friend of hers to New York City. Bear in mind, I had always been driven. There was always something about going to New York that completely intimidated me. So there was no way that I wanted to drive. But here I am driving the two girls to go to visit colleges. My daughter was determined to go to NYU, and the her friend was investigating the Fashion Institute of Technology, Cooper Union, and the New School. So, we had some, and then of course my daughter would go with her. They had some pretty full days packed. As I drove from New Jersey, we were approaching the Holland Tunnel because to get to the place that we were staying, one of the hotels that has since been renovated, but at that point still hadn't been renovated, so it offered a lower price and larger rooms. We got a suite for, like, if I remember correctly, $200, which even then was a very good price. This is over 20 years ago. So that I was able to stay on a pull-out couch, and the two girls each had a double bed inside their place. So they, as I'm driving, I'm leaving New Jersey, entering the multiple bridges that you see while you go into New York. All of a sudden, everything becomes quiet. There's no sound whatsoever. There's no traffic whatsoever. There's no talking. I see a bridge, and on that bridge is a woman walking, hunched over, completely, she looked like she could have been 200 years old. Very, very ancient features. Not necessarily scary features, but ancient features. Hunched over, walking with a cane. And this is a cane that looks like a candy cane. Not one of these new configurations. Walking with that's been around for hundreds of years. And that's all I see. And as I'm going under the bridge, then of course I lose sight of her, but it seemed like I moved very, very slowly. So I had a clear vision of this woman with this cane, ancient person with this cane, walking across a bridge. Nothing else. No people, no cars, no vehicles, no nothing, no animals. So I look at that, and it didn't even dawn on me that, well, this is unusual. This is strange. It was only after I came home that I kind of mulled over what I had seen, and I thought, well, that really was different. So just never really questioned it at the time. I do know that when I also met the author from Australia who worked with the Nature Kingdom, when I turned and looked at him, I knew that he was the author because I saw elfin ears, the pointed ears. Now, does he have elfin ears? No, but that's what I saw. So when they introduced me to him as the author of the 5-day seminar that we were going to stay at, I immediately knew who he was even before the introductions. So because of that, there was also another time when one of my friends showed me her office in Reston. And to get to her office, it was kind of tucked a little bit into the woods, but you kind of went through a stream and you crossed over a little one-lane bridge. Uh, Two people would be hard pressed, would have a lot of trouble passing each other. And as we approached that, I looked, and there's a little troll sitting, and he is collecting money. So I imagined that I had a little satchel of money and flicked him a coin. And so then mentioned something to the gal, and she goes, "You saw him?" And I said, "Yes, I did." And she was like so thrilled that I was able to see him. And the next time that I never was there again, but apparently she also made sure that she had a coin to toss to the little troll that was collecting money sitting on the edge of the bridge in Reston. I know that there was one time, I only have one additional story of my own to tell, and two more from somebody else. There was one time where I took, let's see, a walk with one of the gals who was a secretary of mine. And we walked, and every single day, we would walk 5 days a week because she worked for me 5 days a week. Every single day, I noticed two rocks moving towards us. It was imperceptible because they only moved maybe a quarter of an inch. But over time, you could tell the difference of where they were and where they were before and where they were the day we were walking. So one day I just said to her, I said her name, and ironically, her last name was Trees. I said, "Diane, the rocks." And she goes, "You noticed." And I was absolutely thrilled that we both saw the same thing. She saw them move ever so slowly. I saw them move ever so slowly. And the irony with the rocks was they moved towards us. They came almost to the edge of the bike path where we were at because they were, I'm going to say, a good 20 feet away. So they came almost to the edge of the bike path. They moved back. They disappeared, and one reappeared. And that to me was like, wow, that fantastic. But I am going to have to find it. There is a story in the National Geographic about a gal who was photographing rocks that move. And she called one of them Speedy Gonzales because over one night he had moved over 200 feet. I think 228 feet, 275 feet, over 200 feet. That rock had moved, and she saw the pattern in the sand because she was in the Gobi Desert. And that was photographed by a National Geographic person. So my sister saw an elfin come in through her wall in her master bedroom, bounce on her bed, take one other leap, bounce through her door, and then proceeded to tell me about it. And she said, "I don't want you to think I'm crazy, but this is what I witnessed this morning." And this is, I'm going to say, about 30 years ago. And I thought, of course, by that time, I was opening up in a very big way on my own spiritual path. And the last one, this is a dear friend who, if he has any curiosity at all, It's just mild curiosity, not to have any kind of spiritual development, but just to see, well, this is different. And he said that he woke up one day and around him were almost like the scene in Gulliver's Travels where the Lilliput people had him bound down with pins. That was similar to what he saw, these little hooded beings, almost like something out of the one of the Star Wars characters. They love to work with hoods, and many of their characters had hoods, but they were short. They were probably no more than 3 feet tall. Brown hoods covered their faces, and they were standing around his bed. And then he said a couple months later, he saw a movie with that exact same scene. And I can't remember the title of the movie. I don't know if I ever asked him if he would remember, but he might. Um, so it just kind of floored him that these were uh, such amazing, such an amazing sight. But these are all examples of clairvoyance, seeing what is not there, but seeing clearly, seeing absolutely the type of things that do exist. And I know I'm not going to go into predictions. Um, there's a lot of people that are experts in that. And if you're interested, you can go on the internet and you can just type in predictions for 2025, 2026, 2027, and you'll be given the number of people that are currently predicting things. But be prepared because you're going to be seeing many things that are completely different from what you're seeing today. So just, again, be prepared mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I thank you for being here. I am very grateful for all the people who participate in my YouTube video. If you need a book on meditations, this is the best that is out there. Own Your Power, Day by Day, filled with stories from my personal journey. Just like Christ taught in parables, I teach with stories. And I am all about self-empowerment. And one of the things I'm being guided to do is to work with people, especially women in prison or battered women that are have really been dealt a very raw deal in this life because of the fact that most of the women who are in prison for killing somebody were driven to the edge of their emotional tolerance. And so my goal is to give copies of this book to those people. And we're going to put a donation website that if you're interested in supporting this mission, any dollar amount that you donate to that will be applied strictly to that. I'm going to kick that off the month of July. The 4th of July to me is always a great day to start something new in terms of doing something patriotic for the country. And in this case, I can't think of anything greater than helping women get a fresh start. And I feel my book, Own Your Power, Day by Day, is exactly right for them because it will give them the hope, the encouragement, the guidance, the skills, everything that they need to start fresh. I thank you for being here. I love you. I bless you. And if you have any questions, my website, or want to contribute, my website is Alicia, ALICJA, the Polish spelling of Alice, AliciaJones.com, and that will get you all my services and will give you a starting point for anything else that you would like to share with me. Thank you again, and we hope to see you next week. I do plan to be here. Thank you. Bye now.